Hey everyone, this is Tara. Welcome back to my channel. So today I thought it would be fun to sit down and record a July 2024 currently inked video. I'm keeping it kind of low key today just because I'm not feeling super great, but I have so many pens inked right now that I thought it would be fun to go ahead and sort of document them all. Now normally I keep track of my currently inked pens on Fountain Pen Companion, which is a really useful website if you're not already using it, where you can, keep a list of your fountain pens, your inks, and it provides statistics, your usage, all kinds of really cool stuff. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. I definitely couldn't keep track of all my inks for sure if Fountain Pen Companion weren't a thing. So I normally don't list them out, but like I said, I thought that would be fun. And also, like I said, I'm not feeling super on top of the world, so if I'm not quite as eloquent as you might, well, I wouldn't say expect, this is only my second video, but as you might want from a YouTuber, my deepest apologies. But we'll go ahead and get started. So right now I have 24 pens inked up, which is absurd, and I'm going to try to avoid that in the future because that's a lot of currently inked pens, and it takes me months to write them dry. I write pretty often. I actually use my fountain pens for writing short stories and novels, and little writing tasks throughout the day like to-do lists and whatnot, but I primarily use them for writing fiction by hand. That said, though, there's only so much I can write, especially because it's not my day job. So I do want to cut down on the amount of pens I have inked up. But for your entertainment, I will go ahead and show them. So the first one I have is my TWSBI Eco in Jade Green with a medium nib. It is currently inked up with Ferris Wheel Press Roaring Patina Black, which is a really beautiful black ink, actually. I don't think I would get a full-size bottle of it. I have a sample, but it's really interesting. It has a red sheen and gold shimmer. Like I said in my last video, I have some fine motor problems and my handwriting is not the best. I had dysgraphia when I was younger. I no longer meet the diagnostic criteria, but still my handwriting's never going to be very pretty. So I only ask for your understanding. Okay, medium nib. Ferris wheel press. Okay. So you probably can't see too much of the shimmer or the sheen, but it is definitely a very unique black. One of the more interesting ones I've seen. We'll take a closer look at the end too. Okay, so I also have another TWSBI Eco, and this is the one in white with a broad nib, and this is currently inked with Diamine Arctic Blue. As you can see, it's a shimmer ink, so I'm going to go ahead and agitate that. Really love TWSBI broad nibs. I feel that they are juicy and they can handle pretty much any shimmer ink that you throw at them. Okay. Ooh, I haven't used this one in a hot minute, so it is struggling. Speaking of struggling, I am getting new equipment to do some overhead filming, so we aren't having to struggle so much over here. So just please be patient while I wait for that to come in, and hopefully the quality of my future videos will be a little bit better. I did buy a tripod, the one I'm currently using right now, but I did not anticipate how difficult it would be to actually write and maneuver around with this one. But at least you can get some pretty good close-up shots. Okay, what pen is this? Oh, Eco White with a broad nib. That is a bracket. That is not my best work. So you can see a lot of the blue shimmer right there. It is really pretty. Okay, the last TWSBI Eco I have inked up is my TWSBI Eco in Pastel Pink with a fine nib. It is currently inked up with Pilot Iroshizuku Shinryoku, which is a super cool, sort of teal-leaning green. It has a lot of depth to it, which I really like. I'm not a huge fan of green inks normally, but I really enjoy this one. And this is my workhorse pen for when I'm at work. I work for the school system, so I'm not currently working, but this is what I use when I'm writing on clipboards, taking data, and it's my old reliable. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I work for the school system, and that is why I am not working right now. We are on summer break. Okay. I definitely wish I had nicer handwriting. I was in occupational therapy when I was younger, but there was only so much they could do before they were like, yeah, you're good enough. And I suppose I am good enough. All right, so we're done with our TWSBIs. I'm gonna move on to my Benus right now. So the next one I have is my Benu Briolette in Snowy Peak, I believe it's called, with a fine nib. I am a sucker for Benu pens. This one is inked up with Diamine Syra. You can see that I don't really care about color coordination when it comes to pens and inks. I actually have a method to my madness that I'll discuss later in terms of matching pens to inks. Ooh, we got a hair caught in there. Okay, I think we're good. I had another Briolette, but I brought it to work and it never came home with me. And now I don't really use my expensive pens at work. Diamine Syra is a pretty nice color. It's almost like a brownish purple. I quite like it. Okay. So next Benu is my, oh, sorry about that, my Talisman in Lily of the Incas. This is in a medium nib. Is it actually a medium nib? I think it might be broad. It is a broad nib. I have so many Benus, sometimes it's hard to keep track. So I have this in a broad nib, and it is currently inked up with Tono and Lim's Burma tourmaline. I don't often discuss minerals out loud, so apologies for my pronunciation, but This is actually really unique ink, and it's difficult to find anywhere. I actually looked for a full-size bottle, even though I have some problems with this ink, and I could not find a full-size bottle in stock anywhere. But do you see that gold shimmer? I mean, that is just unbelievable. You can't even see the base color. And it just writes so smoothly. Oh, I love it. But there's a reason I actually don't write more often with this. Okay, so my lighting is actually not quite doing justice to the base color, which is a really lovely rosy pink, but it gets so overpowered by the shimmer that it's difficult to portray. So I adore this ink, but my primary issue with it is that the shimmer comes off if you even look at it the wrong way. And so anytime I close my notebook after writing with this, I will find gold shimmer all over the next page. And so, like I said, for the aesthetic of it, the look of it, I wanted a full-size bottle, but it's probably for the best that I can't find one because it is not a terribly practical ink. It's kind of like vintage shimmers in that way, which is a shame, but my life will go on. I have plenty of other ink bottles that I can use instead. Okay, here's another Talisman. This is the Benu Talisman in True Unicorn. This was a collaboration with Gourmet Pens. It was very limited from what I know. I feel very lucky that I have one. It is just beautiful. I'm a sucker for cotton candy, anything. And this has a medium nib, and it is currently inked up with Sailor Urameku Itazora. I actually haven't used this one much. I find Itazora to be quite dry, even in a really nice, juicy Benu nib. It's a bluish gray color, and you can see some of the chroma shading. You can get a hint of it over here. But it looks just a bit darker on camera than it does in person. I'm wondering if I can get the lighting to portray it accurately. Like I said, we'll take another look towards the end where you can get a little bit of a better visual on that. Alright, let me pull another one from the pile of Benus. My gosh. Okay, so the next one I have is my Benu Euphoria in, I want to say, Northern Lights. And I want to say this was a Gold Spot Pens exclusive. This part does glow in the dark a little bit if you have it exposed to light. I have this in a medium nib, and it is currently inked up with Diamine Golden Oasis, which was actually one of the very first inks I ever bought. And it was even before I was really into fountain pens. I received a fountain pen from my partner back in 2018, and I thought it was neat, but it didn't trigger my descent into insanity. that happened a little bit while later. But I still bought a couple of inks to mess around with, and Golden Oasis happened to be one of them. It's a really beautiful light green with a gold shimmer. And I love this light green because it's so legible. What pen am I talking about again? There we go. All right. Really beautiful. Reminds me I really need to write with that one more often. Just messing around here so you can get a bit of a better visual. Okay, so this is one of my recent acquisitions. This is the Benu Euphoria in Rose Tea. I believe this is a Goulet exclusive. It's part of their drinks collaboration with Benu, the ongoing one. And I also have the Rainbow Slushie from that series. And as soon as I saw this, I knew I had to have it. Like, there was not even any thinking involved. I just was going off of my monkey brain, and I hit add to cart, and that was the end of that. And it really is just so beautiful. It's a little bit more of a cooler toned pink in person, but it is just Barbie perfection. I got this in a medium nib, and I have it inked up with Van Diemen's Moon Jellyfish. I thought that would be a really good pairing, and I have to say I really enjoy it. Okay, struggled for a minute there. Ooh, it's still struggling. It's been sleeping for a little while. She's been taking a nap, so we might just need to keep trying. I might actually need to prime the feed on this one. Womp womp. Yeah, let's go ahead and prime the feed and see if we can get any better results that way. All right, moment of truth. Ooh, not much better. I'll tinker with this one after this video. It's definitely not a problem with the ink itself, although I suppose you can make an argument that by virtue of it being a shimmer ink, it is inherently problematic. But when I first inked this one up, it was not much of an issue. Oh, there we go, there we go. We have worked our way through the blockage. Oh, now it's nice and juicy. Probably shouldn't have said it like that. Ooh. Think of all the adjectives. Whoa. Think of all the adjectives fountain pen users use to describe our stuff. Wet, juicy, smooth, ooh, lubricated. All right, we're getting down to the wire with the Benus. I think I only have one more for us. Trying not to hold my breath because I will probably find another one. Now, for this next one, this is the Benu Talisman in Peacock ore. I have this in a broad nib, And I actually can't tell you the name of the ink that is in here because it was part of a lot of 50 ink bottles I bought off of AliExpress a few years ago. And a few of them have names in the form of Chinese characters, Hansa, on there, but some of them don't have anything on there. It's just illustrations or, you know, just a graphic. And so this one is just a high sheening ink. It's a I want to say it's blue based with high pink sheen. Haven't really used this one very much since I inked it up. It writes so smoothly though. It is one of my favorite pens, even by Benu standards. Ooh, that's a super smooth ink. And you can see some of the sheen going on here. Obviously, it'll be more apparent when it dries, but you can already see the beginnings of that pink sheen. It is really pretty. And what I like about the series of high sheening inks that I got off of that lot in AliExpress, or from AliExpress, is that they don't smudge, they dry down, and they behave really well, which is not the case for every high sheening ink. In fact, I have one in my lineup today that does not behave super well. Okay, we might as well just do that one next, actually. So this is my Pilot Kakuno in transparent pink. She has seen some better days, so please pardon her. She'll be getting a bath soon. And it is currently inked up with Organic Studios Walden Pond. Yeah, Henry David Thoreau Walden Pond, which is a super high sheener, super high stainer, very problematic. That's why I ended up putting it in one of my more affordable pens. This has a medium nib, and my Kakunos, they can take anything I throw at them. I'm very proud of them for that. We're actually getting down to the bottom of the converter for this one, so it should be done pretty soon. Ooh, I did not space these appropriately. This is going to bother some people, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know some of y'all are sticklers for keeping things uniform. Unfortunately, here in ADHD land, that's not my accent. Unfortunately, here in ADHD land, consistency is not the name of the game. Okay, transparent pink. This was another one of my very first inks. This was when I did start my descent into insanity, though. I bought a few bottles without even getting any samples, and this was one of them because it was just on the bestsellers page on Goulet, and I just bought a few things I saw on there. I didn't even think about the color or whether I would like it or not. I just went for it. And good thing I do like it. It's certainly not as well behaved as the one previous, but you can also tell that the sheen is a lot stronger. But that guy's going to take a little while to dry. Okay, we've got like 10 left. Oh my gosh. I have a problem. Something is wrong with me deep inside. Okay, so my two most recent acquisitions, which I'm actually having so much fun with, are these two new Lamy Safaris in Cherry Blossom and Piña Colada. These are actually my very first safaris. I've never had them before. I've had All-Stars, but not safaris. And I really enjoy them. I'm not a fan of the mattified finish on some safaris. Like, I believe the most recent ones before this, Pink Cliff and Dark Lilac. Is it Dark Lilac? I know they released the ink. I don't know if that's the name of the pen, but I know they had a mattified finish, and I wasn't really into that. But when I saw these color combinations, oh my gosh, I had to. And this has a broad nib, and it is inked up with Pen BBS. I want to say 417 Palace Rose Finch, which is almost impossible to find anywhere. I have looked for a full-size bottle because it is one of the most beautiful pink inks that I have ever seen. It looks a little bit more corally on camera, but it's my perfect pink. What is this again? Cherry Blossom. And I love how smooth this broad nib is on the Safari, because I've heard not amazing things about some of their nibs. And, you know, Lamy steel nibs can be hit or miss. In fact, I have a pretty big miss later on, but this is a big win. Unfortunately, the only place you can find this ink is in sample form from Desk Bandit, which is an Australian retailer. That is where I got mine. They don't have full-size bottles, but they do still have the samples, I'm pretty sure. Now, with shipping being what it is, I'm not going to place an order just for this ink, but if you are in Australia, that might be something worth considering. I placed a very large order, I don't want to say many years ago, but a few years ago, where it made it worth it, but a lot of my samples don't end up becoming full-size bottles, which is probably for the best. Okay, so this is Piña Colada. I have this one in a medium-sized nib, and I have this inked up with an incredible ink. It is Van Diemen's Parrotfish, and I have the old formulation, the pre-2022 formulation, and I am so sad that they had to reformulate it, because this is just perfection. It is a really bright blue with blue-toned purple shimmer that doesn't really sheen in the way that you would think, or shine in the way that you would think. It almost is a little bit mattified. It probably would be easier to show rather than tell. But this is one where I might have to prime the feed. I have not used this one in quite a few days. Yeah, let's go ahead and prime that feed. That's the rub with shimmer inks. You can't just leave them unattended. They need a lot of babying. All right, let's see if we can do what we did for the Euphoria up here and write and see if it fixes itself. Sorry for the ink on the section. Again, I feel like that's something that would bother a lot of people. All right. There we go. We've got it going. Oh, it's getting a little temperamental again. Maybe a lot temperamental. All right, come on. So unfortunately, I don't think this does the ink or the pen a lot of justice. Again, it's kind of been sitting for a few days unused, and that could very well, you know, cause some issues. But you can actually see just how much beautiful shimmer is in there. It's almost bluish, but I can assure you it's quite purple in real life. Sorry, I got distracted staring at it because I just think it's so wonderful. Okay, we're getting to the bottom of this particular page. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit the rest on here. We will try. I have my doubts. All right, let's move on to my Kaweco Sports because the ones after that are a bit of a hodgepodge. We will go ahead and start with my Kaweco Apricot Pearl, which, oh my gosh, is just, this is one of my favorite combinations in anything ever. The like a light orange color with a greenish yellow sheen. I had an eyeshadow like that a few years ago where the base color was this kind of shade of orange, and in the light it would turn green, and it was just amazing. I haven't been able to find anything like that since then, so I really love this combo. And I got it in a double broad nib, and I inked it up with Van Diemen's Shooting Star Summit, which is just, oh my gosh, it is so amazing. Van Diemen's really does make some truly exceptional shimmer inks. And it flows so well in this double broad. You can see no issues just writing right out of the gate there. This, as you can see, is a dark blue, but it has a really glorious greenish gold shimmer and a red sheen. As I said, I really don't need any more full-size bottles, but this is on my short list of full-size bottles to get. You can see that beautiful red sheen and the shimmer over here. You can't see as much of the shimmer in writing. I think you can see a little bit of it, but it does come out, especially more in the beginning of your writing session. As you progress, there won't be as much shimmer. Really beautiful stuff. And then we have my Kaweco Sport in Iridescent Pearl. Iridescent Pearl? Iridescent. I know that's part of the name. And this is in a broad nib. And is it broad? Why do I keep getting my mediums and my broads mixed up? What do I know about getting my broads mixed up, huh? This is a broad nib. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. And this is inked up with a 2021 Diamine Inkvent ink called Nightshade, which is a really nice desaturated blurple color. Has fantastic shading in writing. Yeah, you can already see just how nice that shading is. Noticeable, I should say. I should probably deviate away from calling everything nice. I have a bigger vocabulary than that. At least I like to think I have a bigger vocabulary than that. And for this, I don't remember the color edition it was. I don't remember the color in 2021. I think it might have been red. I think 2022, well, I think a year was skipped. We're not going to go on that rabbit hole right now. Now's not the time. Can't believe they're coming out with another one. Oh my gosh. I really shouldn't buy it, but I'm going to. I'm not known for my wise fiscal decisions. I don't think anyone in this hobby is known for their wise fiscal decisions. You can take a look at that beautiful shading right there. Okay, last of the Kaweco Sports. This is my Kaweco Sport in... I actually don't remember the name of this one specifically. You can see it's gold shimmer. This is a Cult Pens exclusive, a collaborate. I don't know if it's a collaboration or just an exclusive. Although I guess what's the difference, you know? But yeah, so this is the Cult Pens Gold Shimmer Kaweco Sport. This for sure has a medium nib. I said that very confidently, and I was very confidently wrong. This also has a broad nib. I really thought I got one of my Kawecos with a medium nib, but I guess not. So this has a broad nib, and it is currently inked up with Jade Cafe de... I told myself I was going to look up the pronunciation for this one before the video, because I know it kind of irritates me when people mispronounce things. I believe it's Cafe de Ile. I am so determined to find out whether that is the appropriate pronunciation. Where is my iPad? We're gonna solve this problem, my friends. We're gonna educate ourselves together. Thank you all for being patient with me. I guess I could just edit this out in theory, but I feel like I don't have the production value for editing yet. Actually, I could edit. I'm just making excuses. I'm just lazy. Okay, let's turn the volume up.
Café des Îles.
Okay. I was actually pretty close. I did not get the des part. I omitted the S at the end. But I was pretty close in terms of raw pronunciation. So now we are all more educated for that. I feel like a lot of us in this community who haven't taken French or don't know French, which is myself, we struggle with the pronunciation of some of those J-Urbane inks. I took many languages in school, actually, just not French. I took Chinese. I also took Italian and Turkish and ASL. But that's neither here nor there. That's a story for another day. This is a reddish brown color. And it writes quite dry when I am writing in sentences, like for extended periods of time. I still like it, but I don't find myself reaching for this one that often. I'm not a huge fan of this combo. I wrote Gold Shimmer, but again, I don't think that's the official name of this pen. But it is quite nice. This ink has some nice shading as, oh gosh, there I go again with nice. It has some pleasing shading. Not as much as Nightshade above it, but there's more contrast between the darker strokes and the lighter strokes. So it is perfectly serviceable. Okay, getting down to the wire. We'll go with one of my stinkers next. This is my Lamy All-Star in Petrol. I was so excited to get this pen. I got it with a 1.1 stub, and that nib ended up being Garbaggio. I did so much work to try to get it to not suck, but it still tears up the paper. It's still quite dry. I got it functional. It pretty much came to me non-functional, but not to the point where I didn't think I could amend it. I didn't want to send it off to like a nibsmith or anything like that, and definitely wasn't worth it. And I didn't want to send it back to the retailer because, again, I figured I could get it to my specifications, but this nib still kind of sucks. I don't know if it's a case of Lamy's stub nibs sucking in general, just because I don't know a lot of people who have their steel stub nibs. I actually don't know if they even offer gold stub nibs. They might. If you know, let me know. But this is bleh. And it is currently inked up with Sailor Ink Studio 241, which is honestly such a plain teal that I end up not ever reaching for this pen. I'm probably going to end up cleaning it out pretty soon without finishing it, which that's something that really bothers me. I do not like emptying a pen before I write it dry. I'll do it. Like I'm not going to torture myself, but I prefer strongly to not do that. It's being a little less temperamental right now, actually, which I quite like. But you can see it's a pretty plain dark blue leaning teal. Not my favorite. Okay, before we turn the page, let us take a look really quick at what we've got as a whole. I had to lift my tripod up, so just so you can see some of those shimmers. So you can see not a lot of real rhyme or reason to my ink decisions, and like I said, I'll tell you why for that later. Get us situated back here, and I don't even think I mentioned that the notebook I'm using for doing these swatches and writing samples and whatnot is a Hobonichi plain notebook with original Tomoe River 52 GSM paper. This is the old Tomoe River, not the new Sanzen or the old new the old new paper. This is the OG. Okay, we only have like 6 left. Let's get going. I also don't mind ghosting. I'm sorry if that bothers you. I don't like wasting the entire side of a page when it's perfectly good otherwise. That's just something that personally bothers me, but I apologize if it's something that irritates you. Okay. Again, we've got like 6 left. Let's go. All right, here's one of my prized possessions. This is my Pilot Custom 74 in Benifuji. This is a Japan exclusive. I believe the store collaboration was Oeste. I believe that's what it is called. I had to get this through a proxy a little while back. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that. Oh gosh, it was worth every penny. This is just such an incredible color. It's a beautiful wisteria, which I think that's actually what... Is that what Benifuji means? I cannot remember. I know the word Benihime means crimson princess from Bleach. So Beni, I think, means crimson. But I don't know what Benifuji would mean. So that's a journey for me later. This is inked up with Ferris Wheel Press Spadina Rose. And I have this on a really nice, or in a really nice broad nib. You can tell that my communication faculties are rapidly diminishing. Apologies for the bleed through there. I have no idea what happened to the ink. I know that's the Van Diemen's moon jellyfish, but I don't know how it got there, quite frankly. Oh, this is just such a beautiful pairing. It matches the grip section, or the section in general, a little bit better than the barrel, but one of Ferris Wheel Press's nicer inks for sure. A little closer in frame. I'm really glad I watch other fountain pen YouTubers videos, because that's how I found out that Spadina is actually supposed to be pronounced Spadina. It's not Spadina. I would have never known that otherwise. Okay. So we have my beloved Pilot Custom A23 in the amber finish, and it is currently inked up with Wearing Ghoul's Resurrection. This is an interesting one because I had to dump it, add some White Lightning, Van Ness's White Lightning, which is a surfactant, helps improve the flow of an ink, because this was so unbelievably dry. Oh my gosh. The color is so fascinating. It's really interesting to me, but it was painful to write with. I don't know if other people would have had or might have had that experience with Resurrection, but I do know that Wearing Ghoul's inks in general tend to run quite dry. This is also in a medium nib, excuse me. But the color is just, it's something, it's quite unique. Again, this is not how it writes by default. It obviously flows quite well, looks pretty wet. That was my doing. So if you are interested in this ink and you want this kind of performance, you will need to use some kind of surfactant like dish soap or Van Ness's White Lightning or Photo Flow, whatever you like to use. But it's just a really intriguing pale blue with gray undertones. And I haven't even seen anything like this in the Urameku line from Sailor, which, you know, these kinds of colors, these pale desaturated colors, brings to mind Sailor. So fascinating, but I do not think I will be getting a full-size bottle, just, again, because I don't like having to go the extra mile every time. And I don't like it enough for that. All right, we've got 4 left. This is my Opus 88 Demonstrator, and it has made a bit of a mess up here. I have this with a broad nib, and it is currently inked with Diamine Sultry Strawberry, part of their fruits line. I believe it's exclusive to Cult Pens. This is a really lovely pale pink. I won't use it quite as often as I should. I feel like the focus is going in and out. My apologies for that. I like my Opus 88, but I'm not over the moon for it. The nib is almost too smooth. It almost feels like it's a hair's breadth away from baby's bottom. So I just get some disorienting feedback when I write with it. But I like it. I like it well enough. And obviously it holds a ton of ink, which is, for me, not necessarily a positive. I like to switch out my inks quite frequently. This definitely darkened a little bit, the ink overall, probably because I've had this inked up for quite a few months now. It was It was a little bit more pale. It seems a little more saturated right now, so I'm thinking there was some evaporation. Not a lot, but that there was some. We are so close. So close! Alright. This is my Gravitas Big Dropper. And I have this in a fine nib. It is currently inked with Diamine Hope Pink. And the ink itself is beautiful. It's a little bit of a shame, the reputation that Gravitas has cultivated in the fountain pen community, just because I feel that the pens are so well made. I have 3, and I personally haven't had any issues, but I've seen so many accounts that it's a shame. It's a shame when the product is quite good, or it really measures up to standards, but that's not the only part of a product. There's all the things involved in getting it to the consumer, and I know that there are some issues there. So I bought my Gravitas pens quite a while before they developed that reputation, and I haven't purchased any since. I believe there is one retailer for Gravitas pens. I cannot think of the name at the top of my head, but you could probably find them if you were to look. But I know some people don't really want to support the business at this point, which I surely understand. But since I have them, I am going to enjoy them, because I do really love how they feel in the hand and how they write. Just really great craftsmanship, which just makes the whole thing kind of a bummer. I love Hope Pink. I feel like there are very few pink inks on the market quite as bright and vivid as this one. Kind of makes me look goofy for saying this is a little bit more saturated. Well, it's more saturated compared to what it was, but you can see they're both pink, but one is quite a bit more saturated than the other overall. Love that Barbie pink. Hope Pink would actually be really great with the Benu rose tea, so I might consider that for next time. Okay. We have my Jinhao 100. I cannot remember the name of this colorway. If you were to go hunting for Jinhao 100s, you would be able to find it, I'm sure. And this is currently inked up with Birmingham Pen Company's Muskrat, which I know doesn't go with this pen at all. So the way I determine pens and ink pen and ink combinations is I have so many inks. I mean, I have an unokay amount of inks, like over 1,000 inks. So what I do is I periodically go into a random number generator and I'll generate a number, like 400. And I will go to my fountain pen companion page of inks and I list each entry according to the amount of milliliters that it contains, so 15, 30, 50, 60, whatever. And so I will find on the browser page ml, and that will bring me to all my inks. So I will go to the 400th entry and see what it is, and then I'll take a look at all of my currently clean pens, and I will see which one I feel matches that ink the best. So I very rarely take a look at an ink, like I go and look for an ink and I intentionally match it to a pen. I kind of like using the random number generator method because it's always a surprise for me and it eliminates some of the overwhelm from having so many choices, which, you know, it is a good thing. I enjoy it. I appreciate all of my inks. But that just is a way of keeping it, you know, fun and interesting for me. Probably has some hallmarks of autism, which, you know, I have. So no surprises there. I believe this is a medium nib. This ink has some really lovely shading, but it's just, I feel Birmingham has made better brown inks before. It's a nice, dark, cool, toned brown, which I feel Birmingham does just a really great job with its cool, toned inks. Oh, I can see where the blue and the pink are kind of mixing together. Again, sorry if that drives you crazy, but I actually think it kind of looks neat. There's no bleed through happening. It's just that, again, the ghosting makes it a little bit more apparent. Okay, last one. This is the classic Lamy 2000 with a medium nib, and it is inked with Jade Coureur des Tropiques. So, again, pronunciation is a little bit off, but I do think I think that's pretty close to how it's supposed to be pronounced. And it is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a really lovely coral color. Depending on what colors it's near, it looks more pink or more orange. It really just depends on what it's juxtaposed with. Like right here, I think it looks a little bit more orange. I actually just had this inked up in my Pilot Falcon, and the Pilot Falcon, I have it in the soft fine nib, so it's not the FA nib, the kind of flex nib, sort of. It's not really a flex nib, but y'all know what I'm talking about. I have it in the soft fine nib, and because that nib is a little bit more dry, it looks more pink, I think, in that pen. So I think the drier a writer a pen is, the more pink this ink would look. That was a whole long-winded way of saying nothing, really. Oh, I love my Lamy 2000, but I got it on a big sale I got it half off. So I think I spent $100 on it, and this was before inflation got completely out of control. I don't think I would spend more than $100 on this pen. It's really nice, but I would rather spend that money on another Pilot Custom E23 or on a Pelikan pen. I haven't ever tried a Pelikan pen, so I keep getting distracted. I've been talking too long. Okay. I have 2 other pens that are inked up right now, but I will not be including them just because I'm having some issues with the pens themselves and I don't want to deal with any potential mess. So I'll deal with that on my own time. I'm sure there are more than enough pens and pen and ink combinations for you to enjoy here. So we will take another look. Love the way these 3 look together. And we'll take another look over here. A lot more darker colors on this page. All right, friends, my next currently inked will certainly not be as long as this because I'm not going to include any pens from here in the next one. And I also won't be recording in August currently inked because I will be out of town. So I will record one in September when I get back. And so the next one should have substantially fewer pens because I won't include ones that we already did here together. If I didn't write those dry, they still won't be included. So I'll just include whatever new pens I've inked up in the interim at that time. So if you watched all of this, whoa, God bless. You are super awesome. Thank you for bearing with me again while I get my setup all, sorted out. I'm waiting on that overhead equipment so I can take more stable shots and not be so close up. But it's been really fun making these videos and just actually doing it because I've been thinking about it for, so long, and I decided to just take the plunge. And again, if you are watching any part of this, even a minute, I really appreciate it. Makes everything worth it. So we're going to call it a wrap for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye!